Social proof. Social proof is one of the most powerful and primitive levers of human behavior, a social engineering hack that bypasses individual reason by outsourcing judgment to the crowd. This tactic operates on the deeply ingrained assumption that the actions of others reflect the correct behavior for a given situation. A manipulator will create the illusion of a widespread consensus, pointing to polls, manufactured testimonials, or simply asserting that everyone agrees or this is what people are doing. Its power stems from our evolutionary need to belong and our cognitive shortcut of trusting collective wisdom to avoid danger. When uncertain, we look to others for cues. By manufacturing the appearance of a bandwagon, the manipulator exploits this instinct, creating immense pressure to conform. The target begins to doubt their own dissenting opinion, thinking, if so many others believe it, I must be the one who is wrong. Social proof is a terrifyingly effective tool because it can validate any idea, no matter how absurd, by cloaking it in the mantle of popular opinion, demonstrating that one of the easiest ways to control a person is to make them believe they are simply following the herd. The principle of authority. The principle of authority is a formidable weapon of influence, a psychological hack that exploits our deep seated deference to experts and figures of power. This strategy involves cloaking oneself or one's argument in the symbols of authority, such as titles, uniforms, accolades, or even just an air of unshakable confidence. The manipulator doesn't need to have a sound argument, they only need to appear to be a credible source whom it would be arrogant or foolish to question. From a young age, we are conditioned to obey authority figures, creating a mental shortcut where we suspend our own critical judgment in the presence of a perceived expert. The Milgram experiment famously demonstrated how this deference can compel ordinary people to commit horrifying acts. A skilled manipulator triggers this automatic response using the trappings of authority as a substitute for actual evidence. This tactic is deeply unsettling because it reveals how easily our rational faculties can be short circuited by the mere appearance of expertise, allowing charlatans to command unearned trust and wield influence far beyond their merit. Mirroring and rapport building. Mirroring is one of the most deeply ingrained and disarming forms of social engineering, a hack that bypasses conscious thought to build an almost instantaneous bridge of trust. This technique involves subtly mimicking another person's body language, speech patterns, tone of voice, and even their breathing rhythm. When executed correctly, the target is entirely unaware of the imitation, but their subconscious mind registers a powerful sense of familiarity and likeness. This creates a state of rapport, a feeling that this person is like me. The psychological foundation of this trick is the principle that we trust people who we perceive as being part of our tribe. Once this subconscious bond is forged, the target's defenses are lowered, making them far more receptive to persuasion, more willing to share information, and more likely to agree with propositions they might otherwise question. It is an unsettling reminder that our sense of trust can be artificially manufactured, a hidden puppeteer's string that can make us dance to another's tune. Pacing and leading. Pacing and leading is a highly refined form of psychological manipulation, a conversational dance designed to seize control of another person's reality with hypnotic grace. A technique refined in neuro-linguistic programming, this two-step process begins with pacing, the act of meticulously matching and reflecting the other person's world. This goes beyond simple mirroring. The manipulator will validate their beliefs, echo their language, and affirm their emotional state until a deep subconscious rapport is established and the target feels perfectly understood. Only then do they move to the second stage, leading. Having earned profound trust by becoming a perfect echo, the manipulator can now subtly begin to shift the conversation, introducing new ideas or directing the target's thoughts and feelings toward a desired outcome. The target follows this lead willingly, as it feels like a natural continuation of their own thought process. It is a terrifyingly intimate form of control, a slow, methodical hijacking of perspective that proves the surest way to lead someone anywhere is to first walk a mile in their shoes. Manufacturing urgency. Manufacturing urgency is a high pressure tactic of manipulation designed to shut down critical thinking by creating the illusion of a rapidly closing window of opportunity. This social engineering hack preys on the primal fear of missing out, FOMO. By insisting that a decision must be made now, this is a limited time offer, someone else is about to take it, or I need an answer immediately. The manipulator aims to induce a state of panic. This artificially induced stress short circuits the brain's slower, more rational decision making processes, forcing the target to rely on impulsive emotional reactions. They feel compelled to agree before they have a chance to properly weigh the consequences, consult others, or research the facts. The technique is deeply insidious because it frames hesitation not as wisdom, but as a surefire path to loss. It's a ticking clock planted in the mind, a weapon that turns time itself against an opponent, pressuring them into a choice they would almost never make under normal circumstances. The Columbo tactic. The Columbo tactic is a deceptively brilliant maneuver of feigned ignorance, a method of intellectual disarmament named after the iconic television detective. This strategy involves approaching a disagreement by pretending to be confused, forgetful, and unintelligent. The user of this tactic will ask seemingly simple, almost childish questions, forcing their opponent to explain their position in painstaking detail. This has a powerful twofold effect. It lowers the opponent's guard, lulling them into a false sense of superiority, and it compels them to break down their own argument into its fundamental components. In doing so, they often expose the hidden flaws, contradictions, and weak assumptions they had previously overlooked. The manipulator never directly attacks, but simply guides the opponent into deconstructing their own case. It is a terrifyingly effective form of intellectual judo, using the opponent's own weight and arrogance to bring their argument crashing to the ground. Pretexting. Pretexting is a foundational art of social engineering, a chilling method of fabricating an entire reality to extract concessions or information. The technique involves creating a pretext, a believable, invented scenario to establish trust and justify a request that would otherwise be denied. A manipulator might pose as a technician, a researcher, or a fellow employee to create a cover story that lowers the target's natural suspicion. They build a world complete with convincing details, roles, and motivations, drawing the victim into the narrative until the fabricated context feels more real than their own sense of caution. The power of pretexting lies in its exploitation of our innate tendency to trust people who appear to belong or have a legitimate purpose. It is far more than simple lying. It is the construction of a temporary, alternate universe with the sole purpose of manipulation. Pretexting is a haunting reminder that the most secure defenses can be bypassed not by force, but by a story compelling enough to make you hold the door open yourself. Overloading with jargon. The strategic use of jargon is a sinister form of intellectual intimidation, a tactic of weaponizing obscure language to create a fog of confusion and insecurity. This hack involves deliberately deploying highly technical, specialized, or complex terminology to overwhelm an opponent. The goal is not to clarify a point, but to obfuscate it, making the argument sound profoundly intelligent and authoritative while remaining utterly incomprehensible. Faced with this barrage of esoteric language, the target is put in a terrible bind. Either admit they don't understand and risk looking foolish, or silently nod in agreement and concede the point. Most will choose the latter to save face. This technique is unnerving because it preys on intellectual insecurity, allowing the user to win an argument without making a single coherent claim. It builds an impenetrable fortress of words, proving that you don't need a sound argument if you can make your opponent feel too stupid to challenge you.